Alrighty, good afternoon, good evening. Can I get a quick mic check? Can somebody hear me? The last time we tried this, the mic was not working too great. Just a thumbs up out there. Anybody thumbs up on the mic check? Can you hear me out there? All right, how about now? Can I get a mic check now? Can you hear me? All right, fantastic. Very good. Thanks. Sorry for that. I have no idea when I start these meetings for whatever reason it doesn't let me talk. So let's get this thing fired back up here. Well done, Mary. Yes, next meeting on Zoom. I think that sounds appropriate. Absolutely, Dragon. Yeah, that seems like very much the workspace. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good evening, good afternoon to everyone. Thanks so much for kind of showing up here on short notice. Appreciate you giving us your time tonight or whatever time it might be for you. I see there's a number of you out there, so it's good to see you know such short notice. And so before we kind of get into the substance or kind of the meat of what we have prepared for you, kind of just want to frame kind of tonight for what it actually is, because I think that kind of matters along with kind of what we want to talk about. So over the last week and a half or so, the community at large has put in a lot of real substantive feedback on the profession system and kind of the direction that we're headed. And so, there was a number of long posts, detailed critiques, specific suggestions at times, some hard conversations. That's just real. And some of it was, a little uncomfortable to read, but most of it was really honest and almost all of it had real insight to it. And so I want to acknowledge that. And what you may not have seen though, while, a lot of that conversation was kind of happening in the public space, in the suggestions, feedback area, and everything else. That the staff team was working behind the scenes, and I want to acknowledge that straight out the gate here. The team was doing a good job reading all of the posts that were put out there. So I want you to know your words were read, you were heard. We pulled out the patterns and kind of looked through the different what everybody was saying, and then it was. The part that I really want to highlight is that it was, we really want to take that feedback seriously and seriously enough to put together kind of a proposal that we have in response to that. And not just simply some kind of quick Band-Aid patch, so to speak, not, we hear you kind of thing, but an actual structural kind of ground up redesign that we've got planned, or at least kind of floating around out there and in the mental space a little bit, that's kind of rooted or based on what the community has been asking for. And so, again, just to kind of frame that out for you, the staff team, not me, right? The staff team brought this proposal to the table, brought it to me, and we've kind of refined it together. And tonight, I'm here to kind of bring that back to you, right? That's kind of what we're doing here, is bringing that back to you now. The people whose feedback kind of shaped it or helped shape it in the first place, and kind of share with you where we've landed so far, kind of get your reactions to that, and let your input continue to shape the process further before we commit to really building this thing out. And so want to be straight with you on a couple of things before we kind of get into it. Again, number one, staff team did the majority of the heavy lifting on this. And so what you're about to hear is kind of rooted in their work. Again, from the threads, from the feedback, they built the framework, they pitched it, and then we finally kind of refined things together over the last few days. Again, I want to make sure that's clear, because as a whole, and we've received a lot of feedback in regards to how the team's been working and being available in the public space, and I want to make sure that that's noted, because we do want to make a concerted effort to engage the entire team and the entire team be engaged in the community. So that deserves to be said out loud. Number two, this is not an announcement event, right? We are not announcing anything tonight. This is just sharing direction with you. This is not a finished plan. This is a conversation more than anything that kind of helps us shape whether we move forward with kind of this idea that we have, and whether we modify it or we rethink entire pieces of it. So that's the second one. The third one is we're not voting. We're not voting tonight. This system, the overall system itself, clearly needs work. That's not in question here at all. And so what we are questioning, though, is whether the direction that we've put together genuinely lands with the community, whether that's allowing your voice to kind of help shape what that looks like. Obviously, the staff team is going to be the team behind the scenes and making the final calls on a lot of everything, but the call gets made with your input on the table, and I want to make sure that that's clear as well. And then the last one before we kind of get started here, on kind of reflecting on where we've come from, is just, the general call for just, I guess I would say respectful discourse maybe is the right way to put it. That includes the staff team itself, who's put in real time from what I'm about to share. It includes other community members who we may or may not agree with at times. That's always real. And even come, whatever you've got for me, I'll take all the hard questions you've got. But tonight's focus is all about the future of the professions system. And so want to make that real. And so, we have another event scheduled for just a short amount of time from now, 24 hours or so, for the Ask Me Anything, where we can get into even more in depth if you would like to on specific issues. So with that, let me walk you through kind of what we've been hearing and what we're proposing in response, and then we'll open it up. And it's good to see everybody showing up there on the sign. I see you. Don't worry, I see you. So first of all, as you know, the text chat is open. So start throwing your questions in there, throw your comments in there. I'd ask the staff team to kind of monitor that and make sure that you're, helping out with getting back with the community as soon as you can on an answer. But if it needs to wait until kind of the end and the Q&A side of things, then that's fine too. We'll make sure we just note all the questions that come up between now and when we get to that point. So before we get to the proposal that we have for you itself, I want to do something I think is pretty important first, and that's tell you what we have actually heard. Because the only way for me to know if we've got the response right is if I name it back to you kind of what we are responding to in the first place, right? And so here's kind of what came from the community conversations over the past week and a half that we've kind of synthesized down. Number one, the professions feel more like a chore rather than a system. Right? So there's a lot of daily loops involved, waiting on other people to also continue their process, not a whole lot of individual control over it, and the amount of investment or time spent in the system doesn't have an equal payoff or payout. And the phrase that kind of kept coming up over and over again in the feedback was, more or less, kind of paraphrasing here, but you can play for 24 hours a day and really not get any further than someone who plays for 2 or 3 hours. And that's real. So that was the first kind of guidepost for us. The second one was the cross-profession dependency. And it was meant to create an economic opportunity or an economy, but instead it created a lot of bottlenecks. And so players could not really supply themselves, and they can't reliably find other players at the right time to supply them either. That's just a depth issue, and the system was reacting to this lack of depth from that. The third piece was that some professions are carrying more weight than others. So the artificer kind of got called out a lot on that one. The scholar got named a lot. Whether it was too much demand, not enough supply, just a really difficult play loop. The grind was real. Just a lot of different input in regards to the varying or the variety between the professions. Number 4, the research was frustrating, right? Especially the discovery research for those that have that. The scholar being kind of the pinnacle moment in that was real. The 5th point was that for new players coming into the system, they very quickly hit a wall, and so the system had a very steep engagement point, into a point where people would find that so difficult that they couldn't engage with it. And they wouldn't ever be able to get beyond that into the rest of what the server has to offer, and what we want to continue to offer. And so that was holding people back. And then finally, underneath all of that, the last one that I have here, which was a really fair critique, is that the system grew into more of the entire experience, rather than, instead of just being a pillar among many experiences here. And so all of those combined are what we took as kind of our guide, or our map, our roadmap, in order to put together an idea of what the future could potentially look like. And so if I've missed something, something specific or something material to the conversation, please, again, drop it into the chat, and let us know, and we'll add it to the list to make sure that that's continually in front of us, and we address it. So please drop that in the chat if you're thinking of something. And so that's what we've heard. That's what we've continued to hear, and that's what we want to help us, to help guide us. And I want to tell you straight off, before I get into kind of what we're proposing, most of it really did land with us, right? It wasn't comfortable at times to read, but it was the right thing to be said, and it was the right thing to be reading. The system as it stood just wasn't working the way that I wanted it to, the way that we wanted it to, the way that it needed to. And so the question that we had to answer was, what shape does the fix actually look like? What shape does that take, right? And that's, again, what we've spent the last number of days kind of working towards. And so the staff team, came to me and said, hey, we've talked to a lot of the community in public and private. We've had a number of conversations trying to solicit as much input as possible into what this might look like and how we can shape it together. This is kind of the direction that they've come up with. So the principle that was used in the design, the kind of the main principles, are number 1, that individual effort should equal progress, right? We kind of hit at that, right? So if you play more, you should be able to make more progress. If you input more into the system, you should receive like return and like rewards. That's just a hard stop, right? The old system kind of was broken in that area, and the new direction that we established has to restore that back. The second piece is that the economy itself, again, getting back to that piece, should reward working together, collaboration, but not necessarily mandate it, not require it, right? So cross-profession dependency is good when it creates opportunity, but it's bad when it becomes a wall, right? That you can't simply get past because the player that you need is not online right now, or something like that. The new system needs to let players self-supply at an equal rate or a sustainable rate, while rewarding that collaboration effort at the same time, maybe with higher throughput or something along those lines. And then, just kind of moving through that, fewer, better professions. So fewer professions that are better. Not every profession in the system, right, we have right now has really kind of, again, landed, has really earned its place, if you will. Some were, lofty ideas that didn't really pan out in practice, and trying to balance 9 of them at the same time when several of them weren't really working is making things harder and making things worse. And so we're gonna consolidate. We're gonna consolidate that. The next one was that gathering itself, gathering materials, should be a real thing, not just a chore, right? And not just a byproduct. And so right now, your base crafting material is a static daily event, right? We want to make gathering the actual gameplay activity with its own progression, its own tools, its own identity, and that level of input and investment is how you're rewarded, and more on that to come, right? And the last one is that you're not locked out of the rest of the world. You're able to kind of choose your lane. And so you should know what you're contributing as a profession, as a job, but you shouldn't feel kind of boxed into that single track that ignores literally everything else that you might want to do. And so these are kind of the principles that we use for the design. And so here's kind of some more of the details of what we're looking at. We're looking to move from 9 professions down to 6. Okay, 9 to 6. 4 of those 6 will be primary crafting professions, and 2 of them will be gathering professions. Okay, so from 9 to 6, 4 of the 6 will be crafting, and 2 of them will be gathering. And every player will get 2 spaces, 2 slots. Okay, you'll get to choose a primary crafting profession, and you will automatically be paired with a gathering profession once you've chosen your primary. And so if you pick the chef, you're automatically going to also be assigned as a geologist at the same time, just to use some names that you're really not familiar with yet, but more information on that, right? If you pick scholar, you're automatically going to be assigned as a naturalist. Okay, and the pairing there is intentional, right? That design piece is intentional, and so your secondary role is going to support the opposite market lane from your primary role, which means that you're naturally contributing both to the supply and the demand without being this kind of self-contained solo island. You're contributing to both sides at the same time. The professions that aren't working, so specifically, and again, we're going to get to as much of your questions as we can because I know you're going to have some, but I'm just going to lay it all out here first. The professions that aren't working, specifically the geomancer, the enchanter, and the crystal smith, would be retired. Those are the 3 that are being retired. Their useful content will move into the remaining crafting professions, so megastones, Z crystals, Terra, that kind of stuff, tight gems. All that's going to find a new home where it makes sense with the new build. Angler and archaeologist will kind of evolve into the naturalist and the geologist, respectively. And so they're not just simply being renamed, though. They're going to become proper gathering professions with their own tool progressions, their own XP, their own identity. They're going to have a number of tool options, better gathering odds at higher tiers and higher tools, access to rare drops, including treasure that kind of feeds the legendary key system. Okay, we're gonna revamp that as well. And so they're gonna get a rework, and they're gonna evolve. The next piece is the old base materials system is going to change substantially. And so in its place, right now you have to craft these base materials and you have a cap, right? You have a daily cap of whatever that number might be. In its place, each primary profession is going to get their own passively gathered. Passively gathering simply means you can go out and do it whenever you want. You're not held back. You can do it as much or as little as you want, right? Your effort contributes to the system. Each primary crafting profession, so the big four, if you will, are going to get their own gathered materials. Okay. And your primary crafter, your primary profession, you can gather your own stuff. Not as well as the gathering professions can. You're not as proficient at it because you're focusing on your daily job, if you will. But you're not completely siloed and waiting on somebody to provide you materials, right? You're not stuck. The gathering professions are going to get better tools, better yields. They're going to be able to supply the market at the same time, but there's going to be this kind of economic circulation involved with that. And so that is kind of, and with that, of course, because every profession is getting its own custom item gathering materials, that means that your daily caps get to go away. Because all of the effort is now based on what you're able to procure, and there is no real opportunity for automation in that regard that can break the system. And I'm going to be completely open, transparent with you. The biggest concern has always been automation, because that's what breaks every other system and every other server. Thousands of vitamins, thousands of rare candies, thousands of this, just that level of access doesn't work long term. And so when we are able to remove that from the process, at least from the base process itself, we're able to then get back to a situation where you're not locked behind this arbitrary number, this number that again puts you in this loop cycle. We don't want that, right? And so that's a huge point that we wanted to address and try to get right. Okay. So that's the direction that we're looking at. Again, it's not final, right? And what you're hearing from me now is not this is coming tomorrow speech, right? The numbers themselves, the math still need to be tuned, right? There's pieces that we're still figuring out, right? Where do summoning stones go and who gets them, right? Across all the professions, the final names of the new materials, the legendary keys. How do we compensate the crystal smith that has their, that's being retired? All of these things are currently being discussed, but they're not final yet. And it needs more work. And we're working on that. We're committed to working on that. But we're also doing exactly what you asked us to do in the feedback, which is taking the appropriate amount of time to try and get it right. Not rushing something to market just to say we have an update, but to say, hey, here's the work that's been put into this process. We want to solicit your feedback at the same time, and get your input along the way. Okay. Yeah. So that's where we've landed after your feedback and kind of trying to work through it. We want AFK here. So that being said, now I want to kind of hear from you, right? So let's open it up. Let's get the questions flowing. If you could, pop into the chat about, what you think about this direction. Again, what are your initial thoughts? What concerns do you have? What haven't we thought of? Start dropping it in there if you can. And we'll see what you've got to say. Or if staff, if I've missed anything that's dropped in there, feel free to throw me a DM or to reply or forward it back into the chat here somehow, and I can also get to it if I missed it. see a number of people are typing, so we'll give you the time to get that put out there, and then we'll address it. Yeah, so let's see. PvP says, from the data we've seen in the update, Scholar didn't have any numbers on it. Can we get some more info about that? Yeah, absolutely. So with that, so that one's gonna probably be one of, if not the biggest profession that I think benefits from this major shift. First of all, not having any caps on the crafting material allows you to basically go all out with the amount of effort that you want to put into it. But that being said, it can't be a situation where you go out and gather materials for 30 minutes and you're able to craft a tier 1 common TR, right? And so we have to take that math into consideration. We have to figure that out. Because this direction takes us into a kind of a new math situation, I don't have the hard numbers for you on that, PvP, simply because the numbers that we have in the current update that we had planned before this concept came to life, those numbers don't necessarily translate equally into the new system. What I can say is that the material cost of crafting the items themselves is definitely under review across all 4 of the major professions in regards to what is the expected time to input into the system and the expected output. But with the new capless environment, the math just isn't complete yet. So I don't want to give you a hard number on that, but I do want to commit to the fact that we are looking at it seriously to the point where we want to make it a viable, sustainable effort. And so hopefully that's a good answer. If not, drop it in the chat again if I can clarify anything more on that. Second question was, I still have the same question. What is the economy? What is supposed to be valuable? Items, Pokemons, cosmetics. Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? And how you define value is individual. Something is worth what someone's willing to pay for it, right? That's the age-old adage. And so how we define what technically is the economy, I think is up for debate. And I think it is going to somewhat define itself as the meta continues to shift. But I don't think there is any one definition for it, other than the laws of supply and demand, which will hopefully be taken. They'll have more input into the system with the way that we're headed, I think. But again, I think that question is still to be answered. What do we want it to look like? That could be a different answer, right? What is supposed to be valuable? What's supposed to be valuable is your input into the system, and that can look a lot of different ways. Whether you're just out there fishing all day long, gathering materials and selling those materials to those that need them, or whether you're sitting back and you're just crafting stuff and you're selling that. Providing what the demand signals are asking for, that's what it looks like to create that economy for us. And so for us, it's about being able to create an environment where there is a demand signal first, and then providing the appropriate resources and materials for players to actually meet that demand. Because in the traditional Minecraft / Cobblemon environment, the demand signal is rarely there. Most servers, they focus on the legendary Pokemon economy to create that, and they do so by basically just nerfing the spawn rates into the ground, right? And so then they create value by making those things scarce. We want to also take into consideration individual input and ensure that that's rewarded. And I think you can do both of those things without damaging people. That's going to be our effort. And so hopefully that's a good answer for your question. If not, drop it back in and let me know how I can clarify that. Box says, for those whose professions are being retired, what will happen to their progression? That's a good question. So that's one that we want to get right. And so there's going to be 5 professions that are impacted by that, right? The 3 that are being retired entirely. And then the two current gathering professions, which are evolving. All right, because players have committed to research in those areas, and they've committed to crafting materials and other things. And so definitely on the radar. It has not been finalized yet, but there are some ideas floating around about that on how to compensate for the items that were crafted. Whether that is through cobble dollars and or conversion into the new system. There is an opportunity to basically convert your experience that you've achieved in, say, Crystalsmith into your new chosen primary. So you want to jump into Chef now, right? For free, by the way, because you're being retired. That's an offer, right? I'm not to say that any of this is the final direction that we're going to take, but there's a lot that's been on the table to consider in that regard. But we want to get that right because it's important to not leave that progress behind. We're going to try and automate that as much as possible. And so what I mean by that is when, assuming we go forward with all of this and build it out, the system will be designed to when you log in, that the majority of whatever can be automated happens. That way you don't have to create a ticket and get someone involved and you're kind of held back from that perspective. Some of those things just aren't going to be able to be automated. Only because we want to get it right, not because it can't necessarily be done, but the way that it could be automated is kind of a watered down version of what we would want to offer. And so in order to compensate appropriately, we would want to design a system that can match that. So Box, hopefully that's a good answer for you. Let me know if I can add more on that. Let's see. Z says, so just getting this straight, more professions are able to provide base materials to each other. The aforementioned systems to reduce costs are still in effect, and there's more of an emphasis on gathering across all. That, yes, correct across the board. That's correct. Mm-hmm. Held items, megastones, terra shards, crystals, things of that nature. Oh, I see. Answering the economy question. Okay, good. Yep, good. Okay. Falco says, my main concern is if the cross-profession supply, for example, a memory tonic can only be crafted twice a day, and usually a scholar needs to get a good amount of them, which are the most usually crafted in, if we get gatherers besides apothecaries. So the major difference, Falco, in what you're saying there is that in that example, by the way, memory tonics have basically been removed from the majority of all TR crafting, just as a heads up, just as a evaluation. But in that example, should they still be there, memory tonics don't have a crafted twice a day anymore, right? That doesn't exist anymore. There's no cap on that, and there's no cap on your ability to produce as much as you want. So hopefully that answers that. Okay. What do you think about reducing experience instead of completely disabling it past a certain point? This makes the crafting system feel more engaging for the player. Yeah, so because the base material, the base crafting materials that you're used to right now, because those are changing, so too PvP, this is your question, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, so too is the way that XP is going to be earned. Right, and so that change is definitely being considered and on the table for sure. Not to mention, you're going to gain experience from just gathering materials in the first place, and so you're going to have other methods of achieving experience points besides crafting a very linear pathway or something like that. At times, will there be a necessity to craft things to gain XP? Yeah. I think that's pretty common in most systems, and sometimes it's not always the item that you want to craft. But it's probably the most advantageous one to provide the experience that you want. Not to say that that's going to be the normal. There will be the opportunity there for that to kind of pursue experience over a specific item. But we do want to be more flexible when it comes to gathering to accumulating experience points. So hopefully that helps there. Arrow says, are the changes to scholar discovery being applied to other professions such as artificer to basically? Yes, Arrow. Yes, discovery research is going away entirely, 100%. There is no more discovery research, and there is no more potency research at all. The only type of research moving forward will be called mastery, and so you will be able to select, an artificer will be able to select whatever item they want to craft. It's a simple conversation with an NPC at spawn to gain access to that recipe. There's a slight cost to it depending on the level of it, and that's just a normal cost of doing business scenario that would occur in any system. The same thing would be for Scholar, being able to craft any TR that they want to be able to craft. Yeah, and I see that Z kind of mentioned that as well. Nate says, just want to take a second to say thank you to all the staff. Okay, you got not really a question there. Thanks, Nate. Appreciate the feedback on that very much. I'll reread that once I have more time. Which are the three that are being retired? Crystal Smith, and Enchanter. Z, I'm not sure if somebody got to. Yeah, they mentioned it below. Enchanter is the third one. Nishi says, well, how about the old vitamins? A few of us spent a few thousands for blaze powders on crafting. Yeah, we can definitely look at bringing that into the bank. To give you an opportunity to, at least get some kind of value back out of all that stuff that was crafted. I can't promise you that it's going to be millions because a lot of it was completely automated, and we want to be real about that. But at the same time, there was effort put into building the machines. There was effort put into buying the blazes and everything. I get that, right? So definitely worth implementing a solution to solve that for sure. Okay. Enchanter, yep, so good. He's talking about the cost directly. Yeah, Z, so getting back to what Falco was talking about with the 2 memory tonics, that was the case when we had the base materials, but we don't have the base materials anymore that are limited by how much you can produce. So you could literally gather thousands of base material if you really wanted to put that much effort into it. There's no limitation on your ability to gather those base materials, which allows us to not have to have any kind of daily either hard caps that are defined or soft caps that really aren't that aren't written, but they're basically there because you can't produce the materials in the first place. Let's see here. Okay, and I guess most people got to that already in the chat. What is the expectancy for new players who log in every day and get experience and craft everything they can at their expense to get to level 10, or at least that they are progressing at a manner that doesn't feel sluggish at times? Falco, that's one of the guiding questions that we wanted to answer with the redesign, and that is simply, if you log in every day and commit 8 hours to the process, you're going to get rewarded for 8 hours of commitment. I'm not saying that everybody should, or that's even really the average that we're using to kind of generate our math on. I'm just saying that's whatever level of investment you want to put into the system, you should be rewarded for that, right? And so that gets back to PvP's question earlier about limiting XP on certain things. That whole kind of dichotomy around how much you invest into the system rewarding you back is one of the pillars that we're using to guide this kind of reshaping. Let's see. Okay, just some comment. You can sell me. Yep. Okay. Very big change that we hope will be. Yep. Oh, we're getting to free. This isn't for everything. I'm still up for today, but. Okay. God, I made it to the bottom of the chat here. Okay, good. Box says, I wish to check. I understand this right. You will get to 2 professions. One. Yeah, that's correct, Box. Wait, so if we craft for 12 hours straight, I'm going to get everything. If you can craft for 12 hours straight, Nishi, go for it. I mean, if you're going to input that much effort into it, you're gonna have to gather a hell of a lot of materials, but absolutely, go for it. Dell says, okay. Sad, there goes my plan to become two guys. Yeah, sorry, Box. The idea right now is just one gathering at a time. Maybe keep dropping that feedback, and maybe a future expansion of some kind or update will provide an opportunity for that. But right now, on the table is just being able to choose one gathering profession, because we do want players contributing both to the supply and the demand side regularly, not just one or the other. We want to ensure that it doesn't get overweight in one area. Okay, Z, appreciate the feedback. Will unTRable most people? Yeah, I got you. PvP. Yep. We'll clean that up for sure. Well, Box, if you want to be focusing on supply, there's nothing saying that you can't. And I didn't mention this before. I probably should have, because some people have dropped off. But we'll call them supply-based professions, right? The two gathering professions, they will each individually gather for two crafting professions. So I'm going to get this wrong, but the naturalist, i.e., the person that's out in the wild gathering natural stuff, right? Herbs and such, they will take over for the angler, so they will be fishing, and they will also be providing materials for the apothecary. So the naturalist will provide base materials for two professions, the chef and the apothecary. The geologist will be the old archaeologist, and they will provide materials for the artificer and the scholar. So you'll be able to supply 50% of the crafting world with your gathering profession. So if you want to dedicate yourself to that, by all means, you go right on ahead and do that. All right. Let's see. Okay. Yep. So I think that's pretty much it for the questions that have been dropped in so far. But keep them coming. I see people are still typing, so by all means, keep dropping them in there. I'll hang out for as long as people have questions. Oh boy. Having players attribute value randomly doesn't create an economy, really. Yeah, all those things you're not wrong in regards to the economy. Um, the question is, what does it look like to define those things, right? I I think that you're on the right path, but I think allowing players to define their own value, I think there's real there's something real to that. Um, whether shinies are valuable or not right now, the only thing contributing to that is what someone if someone really wants that shiny Pokemon, and so the only way to really increase the value of a shiny is to reduce its or to increase its rarity, right? I mean, they're not providing any competitive input, and so other than restricting people to a specific market, I think that's the only way that we have a lever that we can flip when it comes to controlling the economy side of things, but providing opportunities for that tension in the first place is what we can do, and I think that's what we're going to strive to do. And again, we're not going to get it right the first time. We probably won't get it right the second time. There's going to be a lot of balance and tuning that goes into that process, and I don't want to make it seem like we don't have an objective economically for what that looks like, but where we're coming from and where we're going to is a journey. It's not a quick shot by any means. We won't be able to simply define it immediately. Fluff says, I'm honestly so excited to be more gather focused. Okay, cool. But with all this coming, we are going to be still comfortable. Okay. Will ink sacs be fully removed from the scholar craft? Yes, Berkey, PvP. Ink sacs are not going to. So, again, just to reiterate, every crafting profession will have custom items moving forward. There will not be any base Minecraft, because regardless, I mean, it's just any base Minecraft item can be farmable at this point. That's just the reality. And so in order to allow us to remove the caps on production, we have to go fully custom items. So yeah, the ink sacs they're not going to be involved anymore. At least not as a base material, right? They might be some thematic input. I can't promise you that they won't be some weird thematic input a month or two from now on some obscure recipe that, just has that one requirement. But as your base material, no, that will not be the case. Can we get some spoilers on what stuff we may need to gather? The guild tasks will be revised. Raid pouches are already they're already being worked on. And it depends on your primary crafting profession on what you will need. It kind of just depends, but they will all be gathered in the world. They will not be farmable. They will not be automated. It's just not possible. It will, if you're familiar with the archaeology system, it will mimic the way that archaeology is handled right now for most of them, to where depending on what biome and or block that you're interacting with, you will be able to gather different materials. Same thing with what tool you're using as well. Box says, can't wait to see the full picture once everything. Yeah, so we would, we've got some working documents that we're working off of right now. As soon as we get those individual pieces inside those working documents, kind of locked in, if you will, we'll try to share those out as soon as possible. Yeah, Dragon, I'm with you, Dragon. Yeah, I'm with you. Geologist already sounds like a win for me. I think it's pretty exciting, Box. That's good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Though I have to ask, will gather roles get any cool new tools? So the Angler currently has the most tools, but yes, there will be new tools because your gathering professions will have to do two different roles, right? So the naturalist, for example, will be fishing using the Angler tools, but they will also be gathering herbs, and you don't really use a fishing pole for that. And so they will have a new tool for that, right? Same thing with the archaeologist, which is turning into the geologist. The archaeologist only had a few tools. It didn't have as many as the Angler did. That will be corrected to kind of equalize the playing field in that space. And they will also be doing mining activity as well for ores. And that mining activity will obviously require a new type of tool as well. So hopefully that answers your question. I see the dragon actually did too. Okay, awesome. Are guild quests also being... Yes, yeah, it's not that interactive that you ask a player to place legend. Yeah, that was never really the design. That was just an unfortunate byproduct of trying to get away from people. It was just a hard design cap, unfortunately. But yes, it's being reworked. Let's see. We are completely listening to you guys to make sure that we know. Yep. Documents don't get me. Yeah, right. Yeah. Will this system be implemented during season 1? Okay, so we're going to get to Nishi. That's a really big question. Yep, I see that, Sim. We're going to get to that. My question is, let me get to the other questions first because that's a big one. Good question. I wonder that too. My question is regarding the gathering system to get any material if they are custom. I wish this could be heard, but I would love for it to be equal as possible for people who cannot use Fly. Yeah. So, I mean, The fly mechanic really just at this point, it's not going to help you with the gathering other than your speed of travel. And most of them, if I'm just as all off the top of my head from the last 48 hours of caffeine, but the most of them off the top of my head don't require you to travel obscene distances, and so speed doesn't really play as big of a role. Consider your angler, for example. You're really just not moving that far. What's going on? I just disconnect. Okay, how about now? Am I back? Okay. I'm not really. I don't know what's going on. My Discord hates me. Anyways, I was talking about Falco's question and the usage of fly. I'm not sure where I left off, but basically, fly, in my opinion, and correct me, throw it in there if I'm wrong. But the difference between being able to fly and not being able to fly is a speed thing, right? You can travel at a faster rate. Most of these gathering professions will not require you to travel large distances, and so the speed advantage, if you will, is lessened by that. Can I say that it will 100% be negated? Probably not. But even some of these will be underground. Again, flying, absolutely want to take that into consideration, but at the same time, I think it will be limited. Hopefully, hopefully that answers your question. Am I still good? All right, cool. I'm not seeing anything popping up yet, so that's good. All right, yep. Well, they're not crashing, but I was the other room with the headset and thought this was just my... Okay. Okay, good. Okay. I think that's the end of the questions so far. So now we'll get back to Nishi's question in regards to season 1. And I want to answer it correctly, so I need to reread it real quick. Will the system be implemented during season 1 or after? And so this again is kind of the crux too of why we wanted to bring this to you sooner rather than later. It was the reason for the short notice, if you will. The reality is the current system has put a number of strains on the competitive season. There's no shying away from that fact. Even the draft league itself, not shying away from any of that. And so we discussed this as a team pretty extensively to decide, what would be the right option to choose. What can we do? All of that was on the table, and we wanted again to get your input into this system first. To allow you to have a say in the process, because the quote unquote update that we already had planned originally, that was to make things easier to craft and more accessible in the current system, that one's ready to ship. We could do that tomorrow, right? But we wanted to get your input on this before we just simply launched that and then pulled a reverse card out. So long story short, to get to season 1, if the direction is to pursue this strategy and this new implementation, we realistically expect it to take about 2 weeks. And I want to be real about that. That is an estimate, but that is an estimate based on what we think would be realistic to put together. And if the general consensus is to push forward with this, then what we would like to do is postpone the rest of the competitive season, including the draft league, until the system is reestablished in this new format and is functioning properly. And so that would give players time to acquaint with the new process, continue building teams. You would still have your draft teams. Unless everyone was like, yo, we should just totally redraft this thing. Okay, whatever. But we could also keep them and just pick right back up where we were. We can readdress that later. But the major effort is, I think we need to postpone the competitive season to allow players to get where they need to be competitively and have access to the tools you need to build the teams that you want to build. Okay. Yeah, Arrow. So that would be the whole competitive season, the whole thing. Gyms, draft league. And so what that would mean, in order to kind of scratch that itch, so to speak, would be to bring in our random tournaments that we just tested last weekend. The test run, for all of you that were able to participate in the test run, was really helpful data that helped us a lot. So thank you for that, first of all. And then second of all, now that we've done that testing, we've refined that product a little bit more, and we're ready to actually launch it into production and basically, start using it. And so what that would mean is we can do these random tournaments in the meantime to kind of give us that competitive, exposure, while allowing us to build out for the full competitive season to come. And for those of you that don't know about the random tournaments, maybe you're not plugged in on that, hit me up in a DM. Let's start another thread somewhere else. That's a totally different conversation. But we have an entire system designed to provide everything you need to participate in the tournament. EVs, IVs, held items, Pokemon, the whole 9 yards, right? So there's all these profession inputs are a non-issue for that. Yeah, PvP. That's exactly it. Yep, that's exactly what we would do. Is a pause. Yeah, and I think you're right. I think most people would appreciate that. Yeah. Nishi, was that an okay answer for your question? Cool. Right on. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty on the calendar for sure. We need to get some more teasers out in regards to the stuff that's coming for sure. But I can tell you from what I just saw in the last 24 hours, production wise, there's a lot. There's a lot that's on. That's not even competitive season stuff. That's just other engaging activities that are coming. And that effort is definitely underway as we continue to build out the staff team as well, which is just my shameless plug that staff applications are still open. I reviewed 2 applications today. I'm continuing to review applications. I know I need to get back to some of you that applied during the first wave. Those are still, if I haven't gotten back to you and said that the application is, if I haven't given you feedback on that yet, then it's still open and I'm still after it. So if that's something that you're interested in, then by all means, the applications are out there on the website. Oh, teasers are coming. Okay. Yeah. I'll just sit back and shut up and let it happen now.
Good afternoon, champions. How's everybody doing? Miri here. For those that do know me, for those that don't. So what you guys are seeing is all the work that Syntharia is actually posting for you guys. This is all the stuff that she has been putting up She has been putting numerous time, effort, and everything that's going on, as well as I have. Week two, or week two, geez, wave two cosmetic crates. I've given a couple of teasers over in the Vanguard for those that have access to it. I am projecting them to be within the second week of January, or not January, holy cow, sorry, June, second week of June. The delay with everything that's going on. The commissioner that's doing everything for me, they have been doing a really great job with everything that's been going on for wave one and wave two. They're currently going through, since we are in finals week. I told them take all the time that they need, stretch their mind, relax, get everything go through, and succeed. And that is what's going. No, it's not a whole year. I'm an idiot, Emerald. I'm sorry. But no, I am projecting about second, third week of June. It will be coming. They said if they get through their finals and everything, because this should be it for them, they will be getting their degree. Fingers crossed. But I have the whole thing for them, so I told them to take their time, because everything that we've done, what you guys seen from wave one, you guys loved it. When I get about roughly 50 to 75% complete, you're going to see a wave 3 thread. When that comes up, I expect at least some more feedback of what you guys would like to see.
Awesome. Thanks, Mary. Sin, did you have anything that you wanted to add in? I saw you wanted to jump in here.
Hell yeah. No, I not want to jump in here and talk. Like, come on, let's be serious here. I love talking to everybody. That's where I'm at this point. So, okay. If we shut down this thing, everybody's wondering what's going to keep everybody here, right? We're wondering what's going to keep us engaged. So, just to throw it out there, to give a little teaser, it's not all coming at once. We've got to perfect it. I got to work Dragon to the bone here. He's got to build me some stuff, right? Don't let him off on this, guys. Make certain you get on him. He's the builder now. He's got to build this for me to give it to you, okay? So get on him. Get on him 100% at this point. But this is what we're looking at, okay? You guys have been wanting some events. You guys have been wanting some stuff to keep yourself entertained and enjoyed on the server. So, I'm sad that Thanos is not here, because this is his favorite one, because he's the one that dubbed this one at this point. But, others possibly have heard of it. There is a mini game called Spleef. Anybody know Spleef? Does anybody know what a Spleef is? So, that one is on the table at the moment of, I gotta whip Dragon into shape, and we gotta build some stuff. Another one, we are literally working right now on a wonderful little thing on the side. Not giving it all. We're just teasing. We got some cute little figures that are adorable, and they're collectible, and they are out there, and Brood has cooked his butt off with these little cute suckers that...
I could drop a screenshot in there.
Heck yeah, drop one.
Alright, you keep going.
That literally is going to turn into another game that is going to be called Golden Bow Hunts. You are going to have to find some of these suckers in these games to win some rewards. So, that's another one on the board. Now, y'all have also seen Miri's little announcement of, we have paintings to where we can put stuff up now in the server. Guess what? We're bringing Pictionary at some point. We're going to have some of these wonderful staff members see if they know how to draw. I'm not involved in this. I'm forcing all of them to do it. I'm making it. They're doing it. Make Dragon do it. I'd love to see him draw at this point. We're going to have an event at some point where we're going to draw. We're going to slap it up on a painting, and y'all can freaking try to figure out what the hell they scribbled. So, we also have a way for us staff, I joke, but I'm also serious, to take our frustrations out on you people. Literally, we can come back at you guys. We have Pokemon Hide and Seek. You guys will be the players, and we will be the seekers with bows and arrows. So we will be hunting you. We will get you. Fear not. But all of these games are currently being worked on, in all seriousness. We will be slowly implementing these, because you got to give us time. We have to actually... I have to whip Dragon into building stuff. I'm sorry. Go yell at him. It's not my fault. I cooked.
Again, though, shameless plug. It can't just be Dragon. We would love some applications on the creative side if anyone has some input there.
It has to all be Dragon.
No, it can't. No. The team is growing, and we need to be real about that because we need that, right? That's a healthy component.
Okay, my shameless plug then at this moment.
Yep.
We also need towns. Just FYI, we want more towns. We want y'all out there making towns, darn it. Come on, get together. We can do this.
Dare we
Because
let
also
him
have
speak?
events- We also no, we ain't letting you speak. Go back in your corner. Get to building. We also have another event that will be coming up in the future, near future. We are going to start a Champions GeoGuessing event where we will take a picture somewhere. And y'all will have to actually try to figure out where this thing is. And you will get some rewards from all of this. So, we've got some design contests coming up. I got a Pokeball design contest coming up. Because, maybe we'll add some Pokeballs. Custom Pokeballs designed by the community in as little tiny figures. So, there's that. But we have a ton of stuff already out planned. The first one being, as you saw, the Twilight Skin starts next week. So,
Yep.
stuff is actually out there. It is being prepped. I am back. I am sorry I've not been here. But I am back, and I am back with a vengeance here to make certain that the whole schedule of events gets filled. God damn it, why'd you bring me?
What you got for us, Dragon?
I did want to say that the building side of things, if people wanted to apply for that, I am welcoming that completely.
Yep.
Just show me what you got.
Yep.
Wait,
We
can
do
I
have a
get-
lot of
wait,
fun
can I
things
have somebody?
coming.
Can I
Maybe
have
when they're
somebody
older.
too? God darn it. I want somebody come help me.
Yeah. Long story short,
What about Mira?
get your
He's pretty cool.
get your application in if you want to help, if you want to be involved in the process. That doesn't just mean the staff side either, or even the administrative side. If you're interested in the gym side, we've got vacancies right now, so get your gym applications in if you want to try for that. Let's see, we're on the 23rd, so any applications that come in right now for the gym side of things, don't forget those get reviewed on the 1st and the 15th. More teasers. And so, get your app. You have about 7 days or so to get your. It's the 23rd here. 7 or 8 days roughly to get your application in before that review process starts for the gym side. So now that we've kind of shifted gears here, I think the majority of the feedback has been positive. Go forward. Again, we want to continue revealing as much information as we can as soon as possible. So as we get to some of these more granular points refined, we will continue to drop that out in the in Discord in the appropriate channels, and then just continue soliciting your feedback in that area. Are we still doing the being a gym trainer before you can become a gym? So yeah, that's a good questionable. So the way that we kind of change that process a little bit is that it is not 100% mandatory that you be a gym apprentice before you apply for leader, but the barrier to entry as a leader is higher if you have not completed the apprenticeship. So I'm not saying that it's impossible. There are people that are definitely standout, competitive leaders that are, just great leaders all around, just holistically. And we don't want to limit ourselves by saying, well, you have to go through this arbitrary process. But it is designed, the apprenticeship system is designed to not necessarily, just necessarily show you the ropes, but integrate you with the systems that we have in place, which are different than other servers. And that's what it's really designed to do. So Please don't make me do parkour to become a leader. Yeah, no, that training is not a part of the curriculum. Don't worry about that.
Or
Yeah.
is it?
Well, not currently. It's not. I guess maybe I shouldn't say that definitively, but so hopefully it's kind of a long-winded answer. Hopefully that answers your question.
The timeline that was considered
For the new build.
for the rebuild, for
Yeah.
the test phase, like everything, so they're fully understood of and
Yep.
in the know of where we are expecting of all this.
Yeah. So hopefully, I guess I should say optimistically is the better word. Optimistically, this process, like I said before, should take about 2 weeks. That's the expectation. I expect it to take about a week to build it all out, and then a week of testing. That's kind of our target, with a release sometime in the second week of June. Which means again we are extending the or pushing that competitive season out a little bit. Totally get that. Somewhere around the second week of first to second week of June. Hopefully by, call it, maybe that weekend. It would be great to do it on the weekend for sure. To allow everybody to have the opportunity to get in there. I'm not going to commit to a hard date right now, but what I will commit to is something that everyone, well, I would say a lot of people in the community asked for, and the team, again, please do not take any of this as my idea. This is all stuff that the staff team came up with and just said, hey,
Good job,
we want to do
Barry.
this.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
Barry. So, I guess was there, but yeah, Barry.
Yeah. No, what I want to commit to is what you asked, which is bringing the community into the testing process as well. So as we near the end of our, I would say, rough draft build towards the end of next week, call it the 29th or the 30th of May, we're going to be actively pursuing and getting people set up to test this product. And so I'll create a new application process for that over the coming days. This will be something that you'll have to apply for, and it will be something that you will have to be okay signing and making sure that you stick to a prescribed method of testing, non-disclosure, the whole 9 yards. That's going to be an expectation of that process. So if you're comfortable with that, then we solicit your input and help with that. But it is something that we want to do in order to get it right. So keep that in mind. It's not going to be tomorrow that application is opened up. It's not needed tomorrow, but it will be in the coming days. So is that pretty much covered it, right, Sinan?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was asked. Nishi asked it. Is season one extending, or will it still end on July 1st? I'm gonna let Brood answer it, but I was under the assumption, weren't we ending it and then starting season 2 July 1st?
Yeah.
And
So
it's just draft and all of the competitive events that will continue through.
yeah, we will have a more definitive answer on that as we get closer to all of this coming together. I want to take into consideration the players that have committed real time to the gym circuit right now, that they have already done so in the past couple weeks. That's real, and so we want to add value to that process, and then and not leave that behind, but also take into consideration just how challenging it is right now in the environment. So I'd like to commit to getting a definitive answer, staff approved answer that's solid. Now that we know we want to pursue this, by the end of this weekend, and but with the understanding that it will be changing, whether it's on pause, whether it's just getting totally cut and we're just going into season 2. Exactly what that looks like has not been 100% refined yet, but I'd like to commit to getting you an answer by Sunday. Is that fair? Cool. Thank you.
The other thing that wasn't touched on, Brood, was a question about Enchanter, Crystal Smith, and Geomancer, for those that are those classes, what is their progression going to be since they are getting removed and will be picking something else?
Do you mean like how is their current progression being preserved, so to speak? Is that what the question was?
Correct.
Yeah. So that also has not been purely defined. It is. There's a lot of options on the table. I think I mentioned a couple of them earlier, but I didn't mention all of them by any means. There's certain things that we want to make sure get preserved, right? The first one is the experience points. That's not very hard to preserve. That's a pretty set number in a database. We can gather that one pretty easily, and it translates one for one. That's not hard. The more challenging items to preserve are going to be the research, because certain research was conducted to unlock certain crafting and or make it more potent, and that will not translate into the new system, not one for one anyways. And so we're not going to be able to directly replicate that, and so we got to do our best to find a way to give the value for what was, the crafting materials that were spent, the time that was invested. All of that has to be taken into consideration, and I want you to know that we are taking that into consideration. What the ultimate compensation package, so to speak, looks like is still being written, but it is being written. I can tell you that. Hopefully that's an okay answer.
No, that was perfect. That's what I wanted to at least make sure
Okay.
that they were reaffirmed on that.
Good
that
stuff. Good stuff.
Yep.
I
Their
know another
progress was
one-
not going down.
Right.
I know another one that was asked earlier was about legendary, the Geo in particular, everything that has to do with
Yep.
the legendary raids.
Yep.
Where are they going and everything? What does that look like? I saw that up in there before you went, Mr. Robo.
Oh, yeah, I timed out, I guess.
On that one with
Yeah.
the whole raid dens and how the keys are looking and stuff now.
Yeah, so the Geomancer provides the summoning stones right now, right? And that kind of defined their role. That with the Geomancer being retired, that role is shifting, and we want to provide that value across all of the crafting professions. Again, none of this is set in stone 100%. And so which professions get which items is not defined. It will be, and as we get there, we'll reveal some of that as much as we can. But it is not written. But what I would like to see, or at least initially, the concept right now, is to take the 120 plus summoning stones and spread them across the 4 crafting professions. To give each crafting profession a piece of the pie, so to speak, and allow them to participate in that opportunity. That's just to create the stones. To then access them, to enter them, you still will need the keys. That's not changing. How the keys are crafted will be modified in regards to the materials, because 3 of the professions that provide those materials, 5 of the professions that provide those materials are no longer going to be doing that. So the 4 crafting professions that will exist will be the bulk suppliers of the key materials moving forward. But another concept that is also being bounced around a little bit, and this is one that just is more new.
I think I heard
You there
Brood
now,
back.
Brood?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
What is going on?
You ended on key, I think, and then it went dead.
Maybe there's a thunderstorm or something I just don't know about. Anyways, yeah, the keys. It just blow me up if you can't hear me. The keys are going to be crafted in a similar way, but the material inputs to the keys are going to shift, because only 4 professions now provide the primary inputs to those keys. That being said, one of the concepts that's being bounced around as well is to provide the gathering professions. So your new geologist and your naturalist an opportunity to hit a treasure reward that also is an input into that system. And so it gives those gathering professions a little bit more engagement beyond just simply farming materials, to also seek after treasure rewards, which is something that we really didn't hit on. And if you're not familiar with Angler or how archaeologists actually work right now, you don't know what about the treasure reward system a whole lot. And so I would encourage you to kind of check that out. That system will be maintained in the naturalist and the geologist world. And so that's why I was saying earlier, this thing called passive material gathering. Passive material gathering is just what you do on a regular basis. You're just going around finding stuff. That's just your normal day-to-day work. But you'll have opportunities to also find treasure rewards. And those will have a higher value. And so they'll give a little bit more engagement in certain times in certain areas. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bola. That's the crate rewards are something that is top of mind right now to get updated with the new profession system. So right now it just has the research boost. That needs to evolve for sure. So let's see. Nishi said, "Oh wait, so right now all the base materials we need, stuff like paper, raw iron, won't be used anymore, or cocoa beans, or some." Some of those. So that's a good question, and I don't have a definitive answer for you on that because the crafting material recipes haven't been finalized. But the base materials will come from the environment itself. Sometimes you'll have a recipe that requires a thematic input, and a really good example of that is the chef. The chef and the apothecary are both going to have a lot of thematic inputs because they craft different types of items of the same item, whether it's a speed EV or HP or defense or whatever. And so in order to enable those different thematic types, they will have a secondary input. But all of those secondary inputs will be base Minecraft, super farm, just readily accessible items that just about anybody can get just about anywhere. That's not going to be the main input to the system. So I can't tell you exactly, but all the craziness like the ink sacks and all that being a regular requirement are going away. That's not going to happen. Yeah, Moth, Geomancer will be retired. That's correct. I'm assuming y'all can still hear me. I don't know.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool, thanks.
Britt,
Yeah.
do we want to touch on the leveling of a profession, like what it would look like so that they understand like each individual level from 1 to 10?
Yeah, I don't want to get into the math of it too much right now behind like the different
No, I'm
tiers
saying,
and
like how we actually decided
yeah.
going from the low end to the high
Yeah.
end, and how it will look so they understand that they have the flow all the way up to a point. 'Cause
Right.
I know that was a question too, and when the flow will start to just slow and taper off and diminish.
Yeah, so we're not recreating the wheel here, right? There's been a number of systems developed before us that we are taking inspiration off of. Don't get me wrong, and a lot of profession systems that come from other games, they have this kind of progression where literally everything you do in the beginning rewards you some kind of some kind of improvement, some kind of experience. But then as you get closer to the end of your mastery, so to speak, that kind of slows down. That's just the way the real world works. That being said, with the removal of the base material crafting, at least the way that it is right now, the way that we have the base materials set up right now, with that process changing, level 1 through level 10 should be much more engaging, Whereas right now, level 1 through 3 is really just, or really 1 through 5, more or less, is just your base crafting materials boosting you up to 5, and then you get into everything else. We want level 1 to begin the engagement process and all the way through 10. And so they're again, I don't want to get into the mechanics of it right now, but it'd be better to do it in writing anyways, because I'm not going to butcher it. But there's a tiered structure. Imagine 5 tiers, if you will, and each level kind of flowing into the next and relying on the previous. And so it's just this kind of, I don't know, circular motion all the way from the beginning to the end that will hopefully, the hope is that we will take a player from level 1 to level 10 and have engagement from the beginning and re-engagement from the previous material back into the new, all the way to the scaffolding in the education. That's what we call it, but that's kind of a different term. But again, we will try to put some documentation on that together. It's just better to see it in a table format, I think. PvP says this patch is going to be in 2 weeks, right? Is it possible to hotfix buff to make it like 1 or 2 ink sacks? Yeah, so that's another question that we had, which we didn't really get to, but we've still got enough people in here, I think, to get a good answer on. Like I said, the previous quote unquote update that we had prepared is technically launch ready, at least from what we've tested so far. We could launch that product with the understanding that it will change in 2 weeks, to bring in a better system than what currently sits in the live environment. We could do that. And we just want the input. We didn't want to do that and then have this conversation and say, oh, by the way, this thing you just got used to, now we're changing it. Right? So we want to get your input on, is that something that you would like to see, where this new system kind of rolls out in this 2 week kind of, gray area, and you're using this current, the more modern update until that time? Or would you like to just wait until we get to this new system? I get your soul. Wow. I'm just reading through the chat here. Yeah, Nietzsche, you're not wrong. That was the initial build out for that, but I can't tell you if or when that's coming. That I would like to get that build out more for sure. I just can't be expected to hunt tentacles in a boat for. Yeah, no, I'm tracking PvP. I'm with you on that. I would say, or hotfix buff or a temporary new system. I don't know how different it is. Yeah, we could. I guess we'll take the inputs away as a staff team and come up with a decision on how to implement the update. Simply lower the requirements to make it less miserable. Yeah, we can. Go ahead, Drag.
Can I say something? Yeah, I'm sorry. Just a little quick thing, by the way, for everybody who's here and plays on the server consistently and would like to. This is not just a Blossom Crest thing. We are working on a train rail system between every town. Currently, it is going from Blossom Crest to the Ice Gym to Spawn, sorry, saying a minute, can't remember you guys' town name, to their portal to their town, to Venus Sorbet, and to other towns. So if anybody wants to donate iron, stone, those are the 2 materials primarily that we need. So if everyone wants to help with that, I wanted to make a big community effort together to do this. I think it would be fun.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to participate and help out with that, just message me and let me know, please. Thank you.
Cool. Absolutely. Okay, let's.
Also, we should be here 15 seconds.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to actually put my heart and soul out to you guys on is, I think last time that we had this meeting, I probably sit there and said this. A lot of people that are new, thank you for coming. We definitely love you guys being here. The one thing that you guys do not understand, and I want to express and make sure that it is known, that Brood here works endless time. I'm talking about to the point that he gets sometimes maybe 30 minutes of sleep one day, goes into being a professor 30 minutes after, run his long ass shift. Sorry for my French on this. Come back immediately to the server while he's doing his professor duties, looking at everything, looking at your DMs. The time for how much we can get this to you guys, honestly, I'm going to be the one person. I will state this right now. If you guys have any questions, please, I will take all the weight. You can DM me. I will get everything I possibly can to help out as much. I am going to shoulder the burden for Brood. That way we can work on getting this a nice, smooth sailing fix. That way we're not going on possible delays. That being said, I really would love to see everybody give your support to Brood because he's done so much for you guys. You guys have no clue how long this has been going on for like the last 8 months I've been with this community, and it has been phenomenal. And we are going to evolve, continuing going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been an amazing project and a great opportunity for all of us to create a community for sure. And that's been the goal from day one. And I need to do better about what the vision looks like. That's something that's on top of mind for me. Just what was the original? Why are we doing this in the first place, right? That story needs to be told, and I'm working on that. But there's a lot that drives it for sure. And I appreciate that, Mary, very much. But Mary brings up a good point. 2 weeks, the 2 week time frame is ambitious, and I think everyone can admit that, including testing and everything else. I think it's doable. That's going to be our target. But the more input that we can get, that is, seeking to be inputs into the system, feedback, I want you to continue providing the feedback as much as you can, whether that's through DMs, whether that's through the suggestion box or the feedback channels, whatever. Figure out a way to get your feedback into us as a team. And I can tell you, we have created and we are creating new systems to ensure that all feedback gets taken seriously and is a part of the conversation. So make sure that we get that, because this is your time. And I say this every time that we do anything. You can ask the staff team. I've said it 100 times, right? Anytime that we do a new endeavor, there's an opportunity for input. You don't have to input anything. You don't have to be a part of that process. But if you want to, now is your chance. And we're looking for that. So please take advantage of it if you want to.
So, Brune, I will ask my question now.
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing the polls?
We will be.
So we can get the answer to, so that way they know.
In regards to implementing this at all, you mean?
Implementing this, the season, the implementation of it, they want.
Yeah.
The current fix.
Yep.
For the time being until we can do this,
Mm-hmm.
like all of the polls.
The competitive season, everything. Yeah.
Yes.
Let me get this recording posted, and then that'll give people a chance that weren't here yet to check out what's coming, and we'll open up the polls to give people an opportunity to input, and then we'll keep the polls. We'll open them up. I'll do it as soon as I can, and then we'll keep them open until Sunday night. And then Monday will be our kind of, day zero, press ahead with everything that's decided.
Okay, so you heard it there, guys. So for everybody that's left here at the moment, make certain you spread the word out of what this system is and every single poll that we're going to have up, because we need these answers. We do not want to push.
Your feedback is gold.
Until we have the actual answers from the polls on every single topic that we've talked here. Season 1, the pushing of the potential hot fix patch. If you just want us to push straight ahead into getting this thing done, if you even want this project done that we're talking about, those polls are literally going to guide us into if we are doing what we are doing and if we're staying on track. So the more that you guys can get out to everybody that is not here at this meeting, the better off that we are, so that way we make certain we've reached everyone.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, we are. We've gone now probably an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes or so. So again, everyone being here for this the entire time is amazing to see, and that says a lot about your commitment to the process and seeing this become a reality, as much as your feedback does too. So thank you for all of that. I think we're good to go ahead and close it down for now, but to say that again, the DMs and the feedback is always open for more questions. You will think of more questions, so keep those coming. But we'll get this video up on YouTube as soon as possible for those that didn't get a chance to check it out, to be here live, and then we will we'll just get after it. Thanks for your help.
Say one thing before he ends this whole thing. Any of us staff, you guys have any information, literally come hit us up in DMs. Not a single one of us is going to care. We are going to love listening to the feedback. You are not bothering us. You are not disturbing us. Literally, it might take us a couple minutes to get back to you, because unlike the rest of them, all of the rest of the staff work. My butt is here 24/7. So if you need to get like a kind of instant reply, you can DM me. I am here. If not, hit up the respective staff members, whichever topic you need an answer from. We're all going to care. We're going to care to answer you. We're going to get back to you as fast as we can. Please understand, those doors, those DMs are open.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, folks. That's it. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate the staff for being on the call, helping out. You're amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. And we'll just get after it. Have a good rest of your evening.